Well, your tax dollars now being used to fund a sex change operation for a convicted murderer in California. That inmate, named Shiloh Heavenly Queen, shot and killed a man in Los Angeles before stealing his car in a drug and alcohol-fueled rampage. Officials say the inmate's surgery could cost upwards of $100,000. But should taxpayers really foot the bill? Here to debate it, the president of Concerned Women for America, Penny Nance, and psychotherapist Nell Daly. Thank you both for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Penny, let me go to you first. Should taxpayers be paying a bill for something like this?
No. You know, Pete, I come to this from the perspective of both having worked for Prison Fellowship Ministries and working for prison reform, also as a victim of violent crime. And we recognize that this is political correctness run amok. California alone is in terrible situation, in dire straits financially. They haven't spent the money correctly on mental health services and quality medical care for prisoners, and we should, because we should care for the least of these. But also, they've neglected victims. Concerned Women for America sent a FOIA request to California asking them what their backlog for DNA testing for rape victims was, and they couldn't even tell us. There's low estimates of 6,000 rape kits that have never been tested, and that's a financial issue. So this is an improper use of tax dollars, and is really, it's political correctness run amok.
Penny calls it political correctness. What's the logic of this? Because on a common sense test, you say, how could this be? But somewhere it's not, somebody thinks it's a good idea.
Right. Well, under the U.S. Constitution, under the 8th Amendment, we must provide prisoners with the same life-saving medical treatment that we provide free citizens with.
Life-saving?
Life-saving. So the medical community, the consensus among the medical community is that this surgery is life-saving for prisoners, despite what people think.
Penny, life-saving?
You know, she's right. The 8th Amendment does talk about cruel and unusual punishment, and we should give good quality health care to prisoners and mental health care. But there's no consensus around transgender reassignment surgery.
There actually is.
No, there's not. Within the medical community, there is a large disagreement. It's not really even been studied very well. And in Sweden, when they did study over 30 years, they found that there were suicide rates of 20-fold of the control group after the reassignment surgery, 10 years out. So we're not sure. The head of Johns Hopkins Psychiatry went to the Wall Street Journal and took this on and said he didn't think it was helpful. In fact, it might be hurtful. But regardless, we can all agree that prisoners deserve quality medical care.
Of course. But this is a murderer who's asking taxpayers to fund $100,000 to change sex while in prison. It just doesn't feel right, I think, to a lot of people watching.
I understand that people feel a sort of an ethical conflict about it because of the crime that he's committed. But again, we have to uphold the U.S. Constitution in this country, and it has been ruled that we have to provide medical treatment that's life-saving by court in prison.
Do you lose that right when you murder somebody?
That's a different issue. I think that's a different issue. Are you saying that if you murder someone, then you can actually torture someone in prison? Because that's the result of this, that it would be a human form of torture.
No, but you're actually getting more rights in prison because as a Medicaid participant in California, you have access to this, but he wouldn't have qualified for that, then goes into prison and now qualifies for it.
This person would have qualified for that under the state of, so that's the thing. So in the state of California, if you're a citizen of the state of California and you want gender reassignment surgery and you're on Medicaid, you can get it. So therefore, because we give it to free citizens and we consider it life-changing treatment, life-saving treatment for them, we have to extend it to prisoners also.
But not everyone has access to Medicaid, but everyone in prison would have access. So it could
exactly.
change,
and this is the issue. California is not the only state that's doing this, so it's not just a California issue.
There's a question whether
this is not necessarily life-saving at all. In fact, it could hurt prisoners.
Sure.
So we need to spend the money on medical necessary and also mental health treatment for these prisoners.
The consensus
now we've got to leave it right there, Felicity. Nell Daly and Penny Nance, thank you both for joining us.
Thank you so much.